Hello, this is Blair Stanislao with the Happy Lion Center. Welcome to our podcast, Mystical and Infamous, where we have playful and easy conversations about anything mystical, getting to the heart of all things strange and weird. Join us in a bit of magical tomfoolery, spreading the alchemy of love and light. And now, we invite you to enjoy the show.
I'm Jean Adrienne, and I do a channeled healing modality called InnerSpeak, and I teach it all over the world. And like I was just explaining to Blair before we went on the record, I've got over 8,000 people in Turkey alone who do this work, but there are thousands upon thousands around the world who do this work. And it's a language of the soul. It allows your soul to whisper in your ear and tell you what you need to know in order to be able to kind of push the obstacles out of your way so that you can move forward on your path, whatever that path might be, with ease and grace and manifest what you want in your life, not what you don't want.
So is it, I guess my confusion with that part is it really allowing your soul to whisper, or is it really training you to listen to what it's saying?
No, it's actually allowing your soul to whisper, because what my work is actually, it's a protocol. It's 144 files of information. It's this big book. And each of the files has 36 pieces of information in it. There's sentences or lines or words. And you know how they show on TV all the time, gorillas learning how to speak at the zoo by touching pictures on a board? Okay,
oh, yes.
That's what this is. Your soul is like the gorilla touching pictures on the board, telling you stuff about yourself that you aren't aware of, that might or might not be holding you back in any area of your life. And once it's kind of like giving you the story, tells you how to let go of the junk so that you can begin to move forward, free of the detritus, free of the fear of getting out there, being, doing, having what all you want, because for some of us, even though we say, well, we want Aladdin's lamp, and we want to rub it and have the genie come and give us 3 wishes, what we really are afraid of, and that would be our worst nightmare. Like, what if I did get my 3 wishes?
Yeah.
Then what?
Yeah.
And so that's what this work does, is it takes you to all of the what ifs and the then whats so that you can let them go. And more often than not, the what ifs and the then whats aren't things that happen to you in this lifetime, which is why traditional psychotherapy can't get there and clear the blocks away. A lot of times they happen in another lifetime. They might have happened in another dimension if you don't believe in other lifetimes. They might have come from one of your ancestors and they got stored in the DNA and they got passed down to you, and you're still running that ancestor's old program from 200 years ago, and it's totally not appropriate anymore. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. So my experience with the ancestral work is that you don't, when I've done it, I found that I don't necessarily identify it with it from a conscious point of view. But if I go to my heart space and I really ask, and somebody is talking about some sort of frequency blockage or slowdown or whatever about this particular area, if I'm asking my heart, it really does resonate. And then my mind is kind of going on what I know about my family. And I think, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it never seems like really far off, other than what I have learned is that we take on, yes, we can take on other people's like energy, but like if they have a block about something, we can just kind of absorb it. But what I've also found is that it's much stronger in family lines. So you're around them while you're developing your subconscious patterns while you're young, and you take on those feelings. And what I found through that work too is that it looks like a repeating pattern, but it doesn't just look like a repeating pattern, even in the family line. Like in my family, I had 2 alcoholics, so my father and my grandmother on my mother's side. And we did some of this work, and both of them at the age of 22 had this emotional experience which eventually caused them to become alcoholics. And I don't remember what it was, but something at 22 happened for me too. I'm not an alcoholic, but that's just a different circumstance.
It's these patterns.
Yeah.
And so somewhere it said that the sins of the fathers are visited upon the sons up to 7 generations. Well, guess what? It's not 7 generations.
It's
That's
a lot.
7, those mystical numbers. And it means as long as it takes until somebody like you is willing to step up and say, whoa, the buck stops here. I'm not going to do this pattern anymore. I'm not going to let my kids have to deal with something at 22. And that's really, it's like you've been talking to my channel because that's really what this work does, and it shows those patterns. And yeah.
So I'm going to ask the nitpicky questions.
Okay, go for it.
Excuse me. So I know a little bit about, of course, I'm involved in this kind of work, so I'm familiar with different kinds, but I don't do all of them, right? So I'm familiar with emotion code, and then I think I've been working with somebody who's doing some body code, but it sounds very familiar. And I usually like to really dumb things down for people because I don't know, that's just the way I think. So I know when you do emotion code, they start by checking, but basically they have charts. They have like a piece of paper. They either use a pendulum or they do muscle testing. Is that what you mean by pointing? Is it something like that?
Kind of like that. Totally kind of like that. The main difference between emotion code, body code, and there's another one called theta healing that's also does the same kind of thing. The main difference is that with those, the healer, facilitator, practitioner, whatever you want to call it, is doing the clearing. Like with emotion code and body code, they're using a magnet and they're clearing the governing vessel meridian on the client. And with theta healing, they're using a pendulum and they're clearing for the client. With my work, I make the client do the work.
Oh, that's beautiful. Because that's way more effective. Sure.
In fact, in the beginning, I don't know, I just did an interview with somebody in Turkey, and no, it doesn't say that anymore. In the beginning, it was called InnerSpeak Empowerment, because it was all about empowering the individual to take responsibility for their own stuff and do the work to clear it off. But basically what the InnerSpeak protocol does is it tells them, this is what you need to do first. This is what you need to do second. Here's the third thing and the fourth thing. And, okay, you're done. And basically I tell the person, I read the line out of the book and say, okay, here's what you need to do. Bam. So, and some of it's simple stuff, like, for example, if there's an old pattern or an old wound that's stuck in a chakra, let's use that for an example, because the body is who stores all these wounds.
Yeah.
They're stuck in the body. That's why emotion code and body code work so well, because you got to get them out of the body. The body's very organized about where it will put specific types of wounds. It's either going to put them in a chakra or in an acupuncture meridian point. And it does specific kinds of things in the front of the heart chakra, different than what it'll put in the back of the heart chakra, or what it might put in the third eye front versus the third eye back, versus might be something stuck in gallbladder 23. It's the body's very organized and very, very, very literal and very specific. So let's say, for example, we were doing a clearing and it came up that you had an old wound that was stuck in the front of your solar plexus. Well, these old wounds look to me like shapes. They're usually geometric shapes, but they might be things like a book or a knife or a bow and arrow or something like that too. And so I just tell my client, okay, so you've got something stuck in the front of your solar plexus that is doing this to you. And I'll read out of the book specifically what that's causing. And I want you to just close your eyes, get a sense of what this is on the front of your stomach. Maybe you see it, maybe you feel it, maybe you smell it or hear it. Everybody gets information differently. Just get a sense of it and then ask spirit to take it away. Boom. That clears that wound out of the chakra. Our intentions are so powerful. We have no clue what we could be or do if we knew how to harness our own energy.
Yeah. Okay, I have a crazy idea, and you can tell me no.
Okay.
Is it easy enough that we could do one right now as a demonstration?
Oh, totally.
Okay. Well, I'm game for that.
Okay.
So,
cool.
Okay.
All right. So, is there anything in particular that you would like to work on?
I have thyroid issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're your thyroid. Hang on. Let me just make a note. Because if I don't, I go altered as soon as we start doing this. If I don't make some notes, then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So just take a moment. Thyroid. Okay. I can't even spell. I'm already going altered. I can't even spell. Okay. Take a moment, surrender to spirit, and ask for help. Sweet
Out
spirit, I
loud?
lift. Yeah, no, that's okay. Just ask. You've already done it because
Right.
you're there. Sweet spirit, I lift up to you your child Blair, and I ask that we be taken to the source of anything and everything that's causing her to have issues with her thyroid. So please take us where we need to go so that we can clear this once and for all at all time, space continuums in every dimension where she's expressing herself for the highest and best good of her soul, highest and best good of all that is, thy will, not my will, be done. Thank you. Okay, so every time I get a piece of information from your higher self, I need you to acknowledge that you heard what it was. And how you do that is I'm just going to say out loud to you, Blair, tap, tap, tap. And I just want you to tap yourself on the third eye 3 times, gently. That's not any kind of EFT thing. It's just strictly a game. It's like saying to your soul, oh, thank you very much. I just heard what you said. So let's start with a tap, tap, tap. And here we go.
Tap, tap, tap. And since we're recording on audio, I will, I'll just say it. Is that okay? So they can hear it? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. The first file that we are going to is a file called intrusion. So these are programs or junk or wounds that have been forcefully, let me just read to you what it says because I'll make it up and I won't be telling the truth, and we don't want that. It's wounds or ideas or programs that have been unknowingly and forcefully intruded or introduced to one during a time of stress, crisis, or trauma. Okay. And it says what this is pride in being a victim. Tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap, tap.
Mm-hmm. Now, that doesn't sound like the you that I know, but we don't know where this is coming from yet.
Right.
The next file is mistreatment. So these are wounds that were created when one was abused or violated. These wounds can also be inherited, causing relationship problems without any obvious source. And it says, oh, interesting. Pain from medical malpractice causes one not to seek treatment again. Okay, tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap, tap.
All right. Next file is emotional. This is what's locking you into an unchanging emotional pattern. And it says, not following your own true purpose. Tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap, tap.
And I have a file called purpose. I want to check that, see what that might be. Again, we don't know who we're talking about yet. And it says, one is trying to hold off or defend oneself from an evil purpose. Tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap, tap. So that doesn't, we don't know who it's coming from. So this is not necessarily from me or
No.
we don't know.
But it's something you're in resonance with.
Yeah.
That somehow is affecting your ability to speak your truth.
Okay.
All right. So now it's sending me to a file called the source. So let's see where this is coming from. This is coming from an ancestor. Tap, tap, tap. It's the ancestor. It's a female ancestor. Is this ancestor on Blair's father's side of the family? So your mom's side is this ancestor more than 5 generations back? Nope. Is it 5, 4, 3, 2? Is your mother?
Oh, okay.
Okay. So tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap, tap.
All right. So the thyroid, do you know where you inherited the thyroid problem from? Because it's usually genetic.
Oh, my mom had it. I don't know if my grandmother had it, but my mom definitely had it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we're spot on here. And so your mom also, at some level, took pride in being a victim. She did something, had a doctor.
Oh, no, I know the doctor thing. That is totally her. I was kind of laughing because I was thinking, well, maybe I know that I've had some, but I know for certain she did. Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. And not following her own purpose because she was like being pulled in a direction of a purpose that wasn't right or was considered to be evil. I don't know what that means. Anyway. All right. So let's look at what your higher self wants to tell you was the setup in your mom's life. Next file is called setup. Okay. And it says she felt powerless before the will of others. Tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap, tap.
There was some early childhood abuse. Tap, tap, tap. Stuck walking a path that she knew wasn't right for herself, but she couldn't get off of it. Tap, tap, tap. Forced out of a partnership by family pressure. Tap, tap, tap. Okay, the next file is called soul reaction. This is where you connect to your mom. So this is what the trauma that your mom went through in her lifetime did to her at a soul level. The soul never dies. It'll develop this really ornate coping mechanism to get through a rough time. But when we're still doing it, 10 minutes, 10 years, 10 lifetimes, or we've given it to our kid, it's no longer appropriate. So let's see what the soul reaction is. It says the trauma of rejection makes one feel lonely or outcast.
Tap, tap, tap.
Actually, I have a file called outcast, and I just have to go there. I'm sorry. I want to know. I like to know it all. And it said that her trust in God was stripped away by loneliness and resentment. Does that resonate to you at all?
Yes. You want me to elaborate on that?
No, you don't need to.
Okay.
Tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap, tap.
Okay. Let's clear this off of your mom, off of you, and it clears backwards and forwards. So it'll clear off of your grandmother and everybody back down the lineage, as well as any children you might have.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay. So literally what it says is for me to give you a frequency to jumpstart a rebirthing process. So basically this is going to put you out of resonance with your mother's energy and the thyroid stuff. Okay. So I have a file called Vibrational Resonance Seeds. So we're going to plant the seed of something new inside you. Let's see what that would be. And it's to help you to remember your own divinity, your own power as a unique aspect of the divine. So let me get that frequency. I'm going to put it in your heart center. Then put a little bit of it in your throat center too. Why not? Okay, here it comes. Spiritualize, energize, calibrate, and embody your divinity. And tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap, tap.
Okay. So at some level, consciously or unconsciously, you're holding responsibility for some of your mother's spiritual lessons. Time for you to give them all back to her. That's disempowering her for you to even think that you could master her lessons for her. So I want you to ask your higher self to locate all the responsibilities that you're holding for your mother, give them back to her at the level of her higher self in a dimension where she can receive them, and give her all the energetic information that you have so that she can master her own lessons. And I want you to invite your body to locate all of the responsibilities that your body's holding for your mother's body and give those all back, and have your body give your mother's body energetic information so that they can do this the way they're supposed to, not you trying to run it for them. And tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap, tap.
And now at the level of your higher self, I want you to connect with your mother at the level of her higher self and help her to forgive. She needs to forgive everyone who made her feel powerless in her entire life, whoever it was that was abusive to her when she was a child, whoever it was that caused her to feel forced out or pushed out by the family. She needs to forgive herself. She needs to forgive God for allowing this to happen. She needs to ask you to forgive her for dumping her lessons on you. And tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap, tap.
Okay. So it wants me to give you the frequency of an essential oil to put on the front of your throat. Let me see what that might be. And the oil is ginger. So I'm going to send you the frequency, the vibrational resonance for ginger. I'm going to put it on the front of your throat. And then I want you to connect with your mother at the level of her higher self and ask, what's this ginger stuff all about? Okay? All right. Spiritualize, energize, calibrate, and embody ginger. And now just connect with your mother at the level of her higher self and say, okay, why don't you feel good? What's the payoff in not feeling good? What's the meaning of ginger?
I get the impression. Okay, I'm going to try and translate this. Basically, the ginger was cleansing, but she was sensitive to people's energy and felt like she needed to clean it off on a regular basis, but did not know what to do.
Okay, perfect. Tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap, tap.
Okay. Sending me to a file called One More Thing. Okay, so it says clearing this away from you requires the awakening or the reintegration of an inner resource. So tap, tap, tap. I've got a file called resource. So let's get a clue about what that might be. Okay, and it says that there are inner distracting voices that are denying your ability. So I just want you to invite your higher self to locate all of these little negative voices, that the monkey chatter in your head that tells you you and clear it out.
And what?
Clear it out.
Okay.
Put duct tape on their mouths. You got it. Tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap, tap.
And ask Spirit to release you from all of your mom's belief systems and programs and unwind all of the discordant energetic threads that have tied them to you.
Could you say that again?
Yeah, ask Spirit to release you from all of your mother's belief systems and programs and unwind all of the discordant energetic threads that are tying those belief systems and programs to you. You got like 4 angels that are winding, each one is taking a different colored thread and winding it onto a spool and unwinding all the stuff that's got you tangled up in your mom's stuff. It's funny. There's a yellow one, an orange one, a green one, and a brown one. Huh. I love it. Tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap, tap.
Okay. All right. So, you little empath, you, here we go. I want you to go back in time. I want you to go back through your adult life so far, your adolescence, your childhood, your infancy, the birth process, back into your mother's womb. And then I want you to go back before that, before you actually were conceived. Go back to the other side, to the platform of light where you were standing, waiting to dive in and start this adventure. And while you're standing there on the platform of light, I want you to release all responsibility for fixing anybody in this lifetime. Just lay it down. That's something you took on that was not part of your purpose. And you took it on before you were born. Not your job. Lay down that responsibility right there on that platform of light. And then grab the hand of your body and y'all dive in to conception, gestation, birth, infancy, childhood, adolescence, all the way back to the present breath of now. Take a deep breath in and let it go. And tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap, tap.
And that got it. Tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap,
All
tap.
right. Is there processing on the work we've done? Yeah. Matter of days? Yeah. So you're going to be processing this for 4 days.
Okay.
That's the amount of time it's going to take for your body to catch up because you're just a beautiful beam of light. You already got it. It's done.
Okay.
But the body, because of the density, it's going to take it a little 4 days actually to integrate.
Yeah.
Okay. Tap, tap, tap. Does she need to work on this anymore? No. Does she have any homework? Nope. Does she receive blessings? You get some blessings for helping your mom and helping you. And your first blessing is a blessing of flexibility and being undisturbed by change. Tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap, tap.
The second blessing is the return of your authority, power, and confidence. Courage to stand up and take charge. Tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap.
And the final blessing is courage to follow your heart's command. Tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap, tap.
And it's gratitude that owns every clearing. So close your eyes, open your crown chakra, and feel the love of Mother, Father, God pouring in through the top of your head from the soul star above you. Allow pure love and pure light to flow down into your body. Let it fill your divine line and the divine line of your body, Deva, and flow together into all of your chakras, healing, balancing, centering, and aligning all of your chakras, especially the throat chakra. Then let it fill your acupuncture meridians, flushing away any blocks that might be there. And then let it fill every cell of your body. And when your body's full, allow it to fill your emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies too. And from this place, give thanks. Give thanks to Spirit, to your angels, teachers, guides, to the ascended masters and your spiritual family, and all those enlightened beings of love and light who are walking your path with you. Give thanks to your higher self. Thanks to your body and your body's higher self. Give thanks to your team and your body's team. Take a deep breath in. Exhale it out through your heart in gratitude. And I ask that all of Blair's reference points and grids are updated. I ask for a balancing and stabilization of her fields and all systems, levels, and components of her being. And I ask that she's wrapped in sheets of rainbow light, gently sealing all this into whatever degree is appropriate for her spiritual evolutionary state. So be it, and so it is. And tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap, tap. Okay, that's neat.
Yeah.
So my question, I'm just going to ask on a physical, especially the people who are listening. Oops, there goes water. So in some of the other kind of healings, it is beneficial to have the other person go, the way I was taught was basically you go into theta, or you basically channel, right? Like you go into that zone where you're doing that, which is theta, I guess. And so we encourage the other person to go there because they're more receptive in that area. Does the person receiving this work have to go into theta? Is that important, or is it helpful?
Totally not. Totally not. No, because when you surrender to spirit and ask for help, that's putting you exactly where you need to be. And you don't need to know where it is, because it might not be theta.
Right.
It might be zeta.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't know.
Wherever. Who knows? Who knows?
That's right.
Yeah.
I find that really interesting. And so I'll just share with the listeners that usually in this kind of work, or what I've done in the past, and you can correct me or tell me how I should have done differently. You said phrases, and essentially I'm kind of taking that in. If I would describe it as a fully, awake, conscious person, it would be almost like I was just listening and trying to apply it. And that's kind of what it's like. But the difference is it's more of a feeling, and it's more of an energy instead of all contemplation. Okay.
You got it. Because here's the deal. The words are coming out of my mouth in English, but what's happening is your body's receiving light language.
Yeah.
So you're getting energy, and your mind doesn't really have to be involved.
Right. Sometimes it gets in the way.
Totally.
People. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. There's somebody there where I say, okay, don't let your mind get involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
It's happening up high.
Yeah. So when you obviously somebody can learn how to do this, but you said initially this was empowerment. So did you originally bring this forth as something for people to do individually for themselves?
Yes.
Okay.
Totally.
And is it meant to be?
I did it
like
for
a combination
myself.
of.
Yeah, I did it for myself first. It's that old metaphor: healer, heal thyself.
Right.
We can't do anybody anything until we first peel away enough of our layers, so that we kind of have some clarity. And I've been doing this for over 20 years now, and I don't think I still have all that clarity, but
So it is an ongoing practice. Yeah. It's an ongoing practice then, right?
Oh yeah. I work on myself every week, sometimes multiple times a week, because things come up, and things, it'll be going along just fine and dandy, and all of a sudden, boom,
And how do you know what to work on?
Huh?
How do you know what to work on? How do you know what triggers you to say, okay, I need to work on this thing?
So when something's not going exactly the way I want it to go, or that doesn't feel right for me, then I'll do a clearing. For example, if my email, I don't get requests for sessions, and I don't get client bookings and whatever, it's like the flow dries up.
Yeah,
I'll start to do a session, and before I can even finish the session, the phone's ringing and my email's full.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that easy to clear.
Oh, neat. That's
because we're our own biggest block.
Oh, yes.
Some kind of funky thought stuck in there, and yeah.
Send inquiries, suggestions for new discussion topics, and comments to podcast@happylioncenter.com. That's podcast@happylioncenter.com. If you found this content enjoyable or helpful, please comment, like, share, and download. Donations are appreciated and help us to produce more of similar content. Consider making a contribution at the links in the description box. Your support is greatly appreciated. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Happy Lion Center and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything. None of the content provided should be considered a substitute for legal, financial, medical, psychiatric advice or as care from a certified professional.